Class, for this module, we're gonna review a circle and we're gonna revisit some graphing. So first, let's talk about circle. Circle is important. It's conic sections, and it's important for you to remember the standard form of a circle. So this is the standard form. The standard form have this form because if you see this form, you can recognize the center, which is HK, and the radius is R. So you can see right here for our first example, the center is 4 and -3. Notice that this is y minus -3 squared. Okay, so that's why we have -3 for K. And the radius is 5 because you need to take the square root of 25. How do we graph? It's really easy. First, you locate the center, which is 4, -3 right here. The radius is 5, so I would go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left 5, right 5, and down 5. And then you just draw your circle. Okay. So make sure you locate the center and 4 points on the graph. Okay, so that's easy because we have the standard form. So you can see right here, we do not have the standard form. So the first thing you want to do is you want to rewrite the equation so we can get standard form. So how do we rewrite our equation? So I'm gonna try down here, x squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 2y plus 13 equals 0. All right, so I'm just gonna complete the square so we can have the standard form. So how do we complete the square? First, you put x together. I'm gonna leave some space. You put y together. And then we move the constant to the other side. Now, what is the process of completing the square? You will take b, divide by 2, and square it. So once again, b divide by 2 and square it. Okay, so it's going to be -8 divided by 2, -4, square it, 16. So I'm going to add 16. This is crucial. I just add 16, so I'm going to add 16 over here. We're going to do the same thing for y. So we have 2 right here as b. So 2 divided by 2 squared. So it's going to be 1. You just add 1, so you're going to have to add 1 over here. Okay, now we complete the square. So you just simply factor. So it's going to be x minus 4. By the way, it's just b divided by 2, which is -8 divided by 2, plus y plus 1 square. And then you can see right here, we have 4. Okay, so what are the center? The center in this case is 4, -1. The radius, you take the square root of 4, so it's 2. Okay, and then you can just locate the center for -1 right here. 2, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then you draw the circle. And that's it. That's how you work it out if you have standard form. All right, now, this one right here, not standard form. So we're gonna have to first change it into standard form. So I'm just gonna rewrite first. 2x squared minus 4x plus 2y squared plus 14y equals to 47 over 2. Now, don't forget that when you complete the square, you are not allowed to have anything other than 1 for a. So you see right here, we have 2x squared and we have 2y squared. And hopefully you can recognize that everything is divisible by 2. So I can just divide everything by 2. So I can get 1 for a. So if I divide everything, so I'm going to take this and then you can think of it as multiplied by 1/2. So what I have is x squared minus 2x plus, you know what, I'm just going to leave some room there because we're going to rearrange anyway. So y squared plus 7y. And then we have 47 over 4. Okay, we're going to complete the square now. So I'm going to divide by 2, square it, so we get 1. I have 1 here. 7 divided by 2 square is 49 over 4. Okay, so I have 49 over 4. Okay. All right. So what I have is okay. So we're just gonna have to simplify everything right now. Okay. So I have x minus 1 squared plus y plus 7 over 2 squared. And over here, what do we have? We have 25. Okay. So if you simplify everything, you should get the answer. So now we have 1 and negative 7. 1 and negative 7/2 for the center. And then the radius is 5. Okay. And then from there, you just plot your point. I know it's going to be tough because we have the fraction. You can always change it to decimal, and that's just 3.5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and plot the center. So I have 1 and negative 3.5. So it's right here. Okay, so 5 here. And here. All right, and that's gonna be our circle. So that's how you do it. That's how you deal with circle. Now, hopefully you still remember how we check for function. The way we check for function is you draw the vertical line, right? So if you draw the vertical line and it's crossed more than 1 point, so like this one, then it's not a function. You draw the vertical, cross 2 points, it's not a function. Right here, I draw this one, not a function. This one, not a function because you have 2 here. For 5, I'm okay because no matter what, I hit exactly 1 point. So as long as you hit exactly 1 point, and that's a function. Okay, so hopefully you remember how to use the vertical line test for function. Now, this is just purely evaluation. So if I ask you for f of -3, you just simply plug it in. right? G of 5. So you just take 5 and you plug it in here. Okay, so hopefully you know how to do these problems easily. Okay, the reason we want to practice, because don't forget you can always make table like this. For this problem, I want to point out that you see if you plug negative square root of negative 1, that's in fact imaginary. So it's not real, so you can't really use the point to graph. Okay, so this is just purely testing you on how to deal with function. Okay, so all of these problems. Now, I do want to go over the piecewise function, because for the piecewise function, you have to look at the interval. All right, so each interval defined like that. So if I ask you, what is g of 1? You have to locate where is 1. So 1 is right here, right? 1 is in between negative 1 and 2. So we're going to use the middle one to evaluate for 1. So what I have is g of 1 is going to be 1, 1 plus 1 square minus 2, which is 2. So 2. What is g of 2? So you see g of 2, we're using the same function, the same part, because 2 is right here with the equal sign. So you just plug it in once again. So g of 2, we're going to use this one, 2 plus 1 square minus 2. So it's 7. What is g of 3? So g of 3, you have to use this one. So it's going to be negative 1/4, 3 plus 1. So it's going to be 1/4. Okay, so make sure you use the same, I'm sorry, make sure you use the right part for piecewise function. Okay, now, what if they ask you, what if they have a variable in here? Okay, you're going to proceed the exact same way. So they're asking you for f of 4x is going to be 4x squared minus 6. And you just simplify it. So it's going to be 16x squared minus 6. Okay, straightforward. Now, domain and range. Domain, once again, domains x values, range y values. For domain is very important when it's come to rational function. So I want to do number 13 with you, because we have to find all the values of x that are not in the domain. So we have to find the bad values. So what are the bad values for rational? For rational, we do not want 0 on the bottom. So all you have to do is take the bottom and set it equal to 0 and solve for it. So you can see that we have a quadratic function here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and factor, because that's the easiest way. So we ended up with x equals 9 and x equals 8. So those 2 points are the points not in the domain, because if you plug these 2 points in, you're gonna get 0 on the bottom. Now, the difference between 13 and 14 is for you, for number 14, you have to find the bad points as well, and you toss it out. Okay, so for rational, we don't want 0 on the bottom. For radical, for square root, you do not want negative under the radical, because you cannot take the negative square root. So square root of a negative number is not real. Okay, so what do? We take the inside, the radicand, you set it greater than 0. So in this case, it's just x greater than 2. Now you want to write in interval notation, so I suggest you just go ahead and graph, right? Greater than 2 this way. So to write, we start with 2 bracket because we included to infinity. Okay. All right. Same thing. Find a domain. You take the inside, you set it equal to 0. Don't forget we flip the sign because you divide by a negative number. Okay, so in this case, we have 5 here, but we go this way because we have less than or equal to 5. So the answer is going to be from negative infinity, and then we stop at 5 bracket. All right, so for number 16, just like number 13, you don't want 0 on the bottom. So I'm going to take this, set it equal to 0. So x cannot be negative 1. All right. So how do we write this one? Okay. So you can see that we do not want negative 1 on the bottom, and on top we have the radical. So we are not allowed to have the negative number on top. So we have, this is one bad point. And then for this one, we have x greater or equal to negative 10. Okay, so how do we do that? Don't forget negative 10 is less than negative 1. So I'm going to start with negative 10. So you know what? How about we graph? So for negative 10, you want everything on this side. But at negative 1, you want a hole there. You want to skip that negative 1. So we're going to start at negative 10. We can include negative 10. We stop at 1. We make the hole. So that's how we make the hole. And we go to infinity. Okay, so that's how we do it. All right, now difference quotient pretty much is what you're gonna see a lot when you get to calculus. So that's why we want to practice here. So it's really straightforward. You just have to do f of x plus h. Okay, so it's about it's just about simplifying. So what I have in here is gonna be, so this one we have 3, instead of x squared, it's gonna be x plus h squared minus 8 minus 3x squared minus 8, everything over h. Okay, so if you do your work correctly, you're gonna cancel out a lot of things. I can work it out for you. So if I FOIL that part, is gonna be x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 8 minus 3x squared plus 8. Okay, over h. So what I have is 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared minus 8 minus 3x squared plus h. A lot of things cancel out. Okay, so we ended up with 6xh plus 3h squared over h. but then you can factor out the h and you can cancel it out. So we ended up with 6x plus 3h. Okay, that's all you have to do. Now, let's take a look at the function right here, the graph of the function. They want you to find one values of x for which f of x equals to 2. So we're looking at 2 to be the y values. So where's the y values? The y value is right here. That's when y equals to 2. And then when y is equal to 2, x equals to 1. So that's going to be the values. So that's going to be 1 because f of 1 is 2. All right. Now find f of 3. Pretty much 3 is that x. So where is it? Where's x equals to 3? So f of 3, and you're looking for right here. So it's going to be -4. Okay, so this exercise pretty much just to show you when to use x and when to use y. That's it. Okay, so don't get confused between those two. This one right here, they're asking you for the domain and the range. For the domain, that's the x values, you look from left to right. Left to right. For range, you look from down, up. So from bottom and go up. Okay, so the domain in this case, since I'm looking from left to right, is going to be -4, and we stop at 3. You see we have open and close. So we have open here, we have close here. So it should be parenthesis here and bracket on the other side. For the range, we look from the bottom, which is -5, and you go up, which is +5. And then once again, we have open and close. All right, number 20. You see we have the gap for the domain. So we go from -3, we stop at -1, and then we start again at 1, and we go to 5. They are both open. For the range, hopefully you've noticed that the range, there's no gap in between. See, there's no gap in between. This is the gap of the domain, not the range. The range like go from here to here. This whole thing belongs in here. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that part. So the range, you go from -4 to +4. This is really easy. So just pretty much increasing, decreasing. Okay. Now, local minimum and local maximum. So you can see that the minimum, the local minimum is this one and this one. Okay. So is 1 and -2. That's a local minimum. Please do not get confused. So when they ask you for the local minimum, they're asking you for the y values. So we put 1 and -2 here. And then for part B, they're asking you at which age has the local minimum. So, and now this time they're asking you for the x values. So is -3 and 4, okay? So don't get confused between the local minimum and what values that you have the local minimum, okay? So that's the big difference there. Now, these problems we want to revisit how to graph, and then so pretty much I'm just making table. Okay, now let's do parabola one more time. So parabola, remember I mentioned last time with you, we pick the vertex. In this case, it's 0, 0, and then I pick left, right, left, right, left, right of the equation of the vertex. So I have 0, 0, 2. If you want to pick two more, that would be -2 and +2. Okay, but it's gonna be really high. You're gonna get 8 here and 8 here. You should get the same values for left and right. Okay. All right. Now, same thing for this one, but the one I want to do with you is number 29. So the 29, what I have right here is the standard form for parabola. So every time you have this form, you can recognize the vertex, which is HK, right away. Okay, H and K. So in this case, my vertex is gonna be 3 and 4. Okay, locate that vertex right away, 3, 4. And then I'm gonna go left, right of the vertex. So left, right of the vertex is gonna be 2 and 4. Okay, if you want to pick one more, so instead of 2, 4, you pick 1, 5. So it's like we add and subtract from the vertex. Add 1, subtract 1 from the vertex, add 2, subtract 2 from the vertex. And then you just plot the points. And then we plot the point. And then we graph the parabola. Okay, so that's how we do it.